Bird, 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 bird. Get him, get him, get him, get him, get him. Yeah! Ron Babe was right. Ron Babe was right.
I'm feeling spry. Hey everybody, it's Ron Bain with the Hunting Dog Podcast. It is the 16th of January, and I am a whiny baby, okay? I know I said it last week. I'm looking out the kennel window, and it's just the same snow, the same cold. It was 6 degrees this morning. It's too cold to do anything outside, at least for me. I'm not doing anything outside. It's like it feels like there's no relief in sight, but I know it's coming. Pike Gear is going to give you a little relief, though. Right now, until January 23rd, Pike Gear, that's my title sponsor, technical clothing for the upland hunter, from pants to vest to hunting vest to you name it, even socks and hats. Pike Gear has a sale going on through January 23rd, 15% off with the code RONB15. That's me, Ron B15. So, yeah, if you've been Pike Gear curious, now's the time to save a few bucks on that. If you're Onyx curious, that means you are not one of the 6 million, can you believe that? 6 million people who have subscribed to Onyx. I mean, that's all I need to say about Onyx. I mean, come on. You know the old saying, 6 million people can't be wrong. Get Onyx mapping system for your next season, your next adventure, whatever it is. And it's not just for hunting. You can use it for a whole lot of things. Now, Boss shot shells, yeah, you can only use it for hunting. And yes, I know there's only a little bit of bird season left in a few places. But Boss shot shells, copper-plated bismuth, it is the only shot shell company in this, or actually on the planet. It's kind of weird, not just the United States, on the planet, that makes copper-plated bismuth. Show the birds who's boss with Boss shot shells. Did I say bots? Bots? I did. That's okay. They love me. I love them. Walton's has everything but the meat, and I mean everything. They have, I think I put up a picture or an Instagram post a couple weeks ago. I was using their slicer, their stuffer, they've got pots. They've got literally, get the Walton's catalog. You know, that's a great time. Winter's a great time to do some reading. If you haven't taken my advice yet, just go to Walton's, order their catalog, tell them how you found out about it. There's a little questionnaire on there. How did you hear about it? And get their catalog. And I guarantee you'll find something. You know, you got the meat in the freezer, but you're going to find something in Walton's that you could use. Purina is obviously Purina's not in the Walton's catalog. Duh. Purina's in every store, every outlet, every farm store, every pet store. It's the #1 food of all dogs across the globe. Another one, global, just like Boss shot shells. It is the biggest, largest. Would I say like that? It's big. It's very big. It's huge. Purina. Yeah, they feed my dogs. They should be feeding your dogs. And Gunner Kennels and food crates and waterers. Yeah, Gunner Kennels, food crates, and waterers. I'm going to have some of that stuff on display at Pheasant Fest. I hope to see you guys at Pheasant Fest. In fact, that's what this whole episode, not the whole episode, Bob St.Pierre from Pheasants Forever is going to be on this episode. We're certainly going to talk about Pheasants Forever and the mission and how the Pheasant Fest got its start and where it's going in the future. But I'm telling you, you don't want to miss it. And when you come to my booth. I should have gave you the booth number. You'll find it. You'll get the thing. You're going to see Gunner Kennels, their food crates, and their waterers. There's, again, on the whole globe, there's nobody that makes a kennel stronger, guaranteed for life, than Gunner. Nobody. It's just saying. And then, speaking of global, Garmin, my God, you know, it's not only the best in canine navigation. They're in every boat, every plane. You know, it's probably on the space shuttle for all I know. I wouldn't bet. I wouldn't doubt it, you know. You cannot find better products for training and tracking your dog than Garmin, period. You can't find better supplements than Canine Athlete. And you can't find better supplements for yourself than Wilderness Athlete. But Canine Athlete, I have I've been very impressed. In fact, Bravo, I kind of got Bravo off the new dog. He was just getting a little too frisky, but I also noticed, I bet you last 2 weeks I haven't been putting it on his food. And he's kind of going like, it could be the wood stove making him lay there, or it could be the fact that I got to get him back on new dog. Make your old dog new. Check out all the Canine Athlete products, and check out the Wilderness Athletes products while you're at it. And when you're looking for gear, and I know you're thinking, Ron, it's not hunting season, so just get done with this intro. Go to W Hunting Supply when you're looking to buy anything for your dog. And that could be anything, okay? Most importantly, Garmin and other things like that. W Hunting Supply has the service that is second to none, and I love those guys. I just love them. They just send me a book. It's going to be a book. Well, anyway, that's a long story. Go check out W Hunting Supply for your next dog need. Once you get all this stuff accumulated, you're going to realize that it's going to be in totes and in boxes and stuffed under the seat, and then it's not going to be organized. You want to organize all this stuff that you can into a deck drawer system. You've seen them. You see them a lot. I mean, they're really taking over. And I don't think you'd be unhappy with anything that I've told you about this morning. I'll bet you the one thing you'd be even more excited about is your deck drawer system. It makes you feel like you're going on an adventure. You can keep all your gear in there, and you keep your guns and your ammo and your shovels and your collars and your Wilderness Athlete and I just love the deck drawer system. I stacked a whole rick of wood on top of mine. I know they say they can take 2,000 pounds, but I put about 1,000 pounds on one corner of it the other day. Guess what? No problem. Doors open, doors closed. Piece of cake. Shooting Sportsman Magazine. This is the time of year to, check it out. Get yourself an issue of Shooting Sportsman. Plan your next trip. Because they got some really cool stories and really cool destinations in there. And speaking of the winter doldrums, this is the perfect time of year to take your dog through the trained retrieve program. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing it with Tagus, with Itty, and with Zara. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then you have not been to the uplandinstitute.com to check out our online training. We have a wonderful course that'll get you through January and February, give you something to do. It is the most, well, you know what? You don't have to take my word for it. You can go to Upland Institute right now. We added a testimonial page. Now that we've been out there for 8 months, people have wrote back, people you may know, people you may not know, have wrote us some testimonials. So if you don't believe me, you can believe them. Get your dog trained. Get the trained retrieve done this winter. Check out Upland Institute. Here's the episode with Bob and me. Oh, it was fun. All right, that's it. That's all I got. I love you guys. I love you girls, and I love you girls more. Oh, and the first episode of Hunting Dog Talk is going to come out this Wednesday for those Patreon patrons who join that special group, that special tier. So check that one out. That's kind of like me unfiltered. And I'm going to be doing a lot of blabbing on that one. Got a lot of stuff to blab about. There we go. All right. Hey, everybody. It's Ron Bain with the Hunting Dog Podcast. I am on the phone with getting to be a longtime friend, Bob St.Pierre from Pheasants Forever. And we certainly chat throughout the year, and we've been on each other's podcast. And I thought it's no time too soon to start talking about last season and this coming Pheasant Fest. So I'm sure you guys, the work side of it, Bob, for Pheasant Fest, I know you guys really grind, when push comes to shove. But, how does that feel after a year off of not doing it? Is it harder because you're out of the thing? How's Pheasant Fest shaping up?
Yeah, well, so first thing, I still got one hunt left in me this season, so let's not put it in the rearview mirror just yet.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, I mean, COVID knocked out Pheasant Fest for 2021, and it is so much easier to actually have an event than to have it canceled and then try to recoup all that really important sponsor revenue and revenue that Pheasant Fest and Quail Classic generates in a year for our habitat mission. And when that event got canceled last year, I can't thank our sponsors and partners enough. They rallied to our organization and our mission, and they stepped up and bought different advertising and marketing deliverables from us. But I'm really looking forward to a normal 3-day event in Omaha. Get on a normal calendar again.
Is it feeling? Are you welcoming it, or is it a little bit of? Because
it cuts both ways for sure, right?
Okay.
I'm welcoming it because it's one of the best times of the year for us. It's fun.
Yeah.
But there is, as you your facial expressions indicated, which listeners probably can't see. It's a heck of a lot of work. This year it's the latest the event's ever been this year. It's in the mid-March. So normally kind of the heat starts right around Christmas and New Year's. The heat on the work side started this week, and as we're recording this middle of January, it exploded about Tuesday this week, where I literally was on a phone call and on a Teams call, a video conference, just like Zoom.
Yeah.
And my cell phone and my office phone, I had 6 calls in a matter of about 3 minutes. People trying to get in and reach me and talk about Pheasant Fest. So it's
there's definitely a landslide now, huh?
Oh, we're in the midst of it now, and part of it, people are like, well, geez, Bob, it's January. The event is until March, but you think about, well, just even from a printing perspective. Right now, we're lining up all the people on the stages and writing the content that goes in the show guide. And because of the supply chain issues and paper shortages, all the deadlines to produce things have been accelerated this year. So, we're working on deadlines to get things in our hands for Omaha in mid-March right now.
Wow. Yeah. Nothing's easy, right? Nothing's easy. We probably didn't say it. Maybe we should have. It's in Omaha, Nebraska. March.
Yep. It's Omaha, Nebraska CHI Health Center. That's the name of their convention center in Omaha. And the dates this year, whole thing kicks off with the Bird Dog Parade, 11 a.m. on Friday, March 11th.
Yep.
And then the 11th, the 12th, the 13th. Will be the 3-day event, and we're back. It'll be a fun time.
And I'm going to say this just for the 3 people out there, out of all the listeners that might not know what we're talking about. Says I think most of them do, and of course, distance and travel. It's like if you could move this show around and have 3 shows, you could fill it up in 3 parts of the country. You guys are, you have to kind of keep it. You move it around a little bit, but it always kind of stays. Upper Midwest-ish. But for those who don't know what we're talking about, back in the day, like when the first Cabela's store got up, the big Cabela's Supercenter, and I remember walking into, I was like, there can't be this much hunting and fishing stuff. You remember the first time you walked into a Cabela's?
Yeah.
And now it's kind of like, you always like going back, but.
Yeah.
And so anybody who's not been to Pheasant Fest, think about the first time you walked into a Cabela's and your jaw dropped. That's kind of like what it's going for a bird hunter going to Pheasant Fest, I think.
So I'll give you a short history and kind of an overview. The concept came around early 2000s, and the very first one ever was held in January 2003 in Minneapolis, St. Paul. I started 6 days before the first ever event. So I was thrown right into the fire. I left the baseball world and went into Pheasants Forever, and 6 days later attended Pheasant Fest. And early on, it was an every other year endeavor because it's a pretty massive undertaking for a nonprofit conservation organization. Our mission isn't putting on, quote unquote, a sports show.
Right.
It's to do habitat work and produce publication. And so this was a new endeavor. And we did it every other year, 03, 05, 07. And after a few of these, we're like, well, this is going to be an every year deal.
Yeah.
It's impossible to see past the success. You know,
Yeah.
we got to do this every year. So beginning in '08, it became an every other year, and we do move it around the country very purposefully. It creates a platform for us in a new marketplace to talk about our organization and our mission and energize people around the uplands. So when people hear National Pheasant Fest and Quail Classic, and the Quail Classic piece was added when we started Quail Forever, so that's an evolution of it. But when you hear it, you're like, well, blaze orange, shotguns, rednecks. You know, it's a sports show. What else do you want?
Yeah.
But that's not really the reality of Pheasant Fest and Quail Classic. It is so much more. It's a really nice reflection of everything we are as an organization. Certainly, it's got shotguns and blaze orange and all the hunting clothing, right? I mean, it's who we are. I'm wearing blaze orange right now.
Right.
I mean, it's my color. It's also the Tigers' color. But anyway, so the number one attraction to the show, I've mentioned this, the cocaine of conservation, are bird dogs.
Yeah.
We got a bird dog stage. There's different dog trainer every half hour. We got a wild game cooking stage, the connection between hunting and the table. We've got a public land stage to talk about access. We have obviously a habitat stage. We're the habitat organization, so it's talk about how landowners can improve their property for wildlife. We even have a landowner help desk where you own property anywhere in the country. You can come to Pheasant Fest, sit at a computer with one of our biologists, completely free with paid admission.
Yeah.
And they can look at your land through satellite imagery and talk about different conservation programs or initiatives you can do on your property.
Right.
Maybe get cost shared for, but improve it for wildlife. So it's a huge sports show. Next to the Westminster Dog Show, it's the second biggest dog show in the country. It's
that.
It's a farm show,
Yeah.
right? Because you walk out and there's tractors, there's seed drills.
Right.
It's an art show. I mean, one of the things that we made money for our habitat mission over time is through artwork, paintings. You know, Scott Storm, the Hauptmann brother. I mean, artists are there, woodworking, carvers, pheasant feathers. You know, it's a show to introduce new people. We have a Path to the Upland stage to encourage others, families to learn about the uplands and get involved in hunting. Chapter volunteers come there, so there's fundraisers,
banquet,
personalities, there's banquets. So, you know, I'm not allowed to say the word Super Bowl because, you know, they trademarked the shit out of that, but it is the Super Bowl of the uplands, right? It's our signature event.
Yeah.
If you can think of a way that, you know, the uplands, hunting, habitat, dogs, food, art connects to our mission, then it's reflected at Pheasant Fest. It's something that we're all real happy about, proud of, to put on every year.
And it seems like every year you guys kind of bump it up a little bit almost. Like I don't remember, and, you know, forgive me for not remembering, but maybe seven fests ago or so. I don't remember the public lands thing, but that's become such a thing. You added that. The ag stuff, that, you know, it's always been in the magazine, and it's kind of, you know, everybody doesn't read it. But like you said, somebody could go there, and even if they didn't sign up for something, they could learn something that it's just right there. It's all in front of you, you know. And,
right.
And I'm sure it wasn't all there in the beginning. You guys just must have like a strategic plan. Like, what can we do next year? You know, because
well, we don't have it completely mapped out in a strategic plan. Some of the things, you know, are conceptualized over a few Leinenkugels, as most good ideas, you know, napkins and a Leinenkugel. Or Miller Lite.
Miller Lite, right.
Or Miller.
It depends on where you
bells.
live. Depends on where you live.
Too hard today. But anyways, you know, you're right. Public Lands Pavilion was brand new in 2020. So it'll be in Omaha. So that's evolving. You know, the Bird Dog Parade. that didn't exist from the start. It was
Right.
Joe Dugan, my predecessor, came up with the concept when we went to Des Moines for the first time. There's a indoor like skywalk leading to the convention center. He's like, how do we get all these people that are having lunch at these, this food court in
Right.
Des Moines to know if Pheasant Fest is coming? So we did a bird dog parade through the skywalk at Des Moines
And everybody's
during people's lunch hour. And everybody's like, what the heck is going on? And it was just marvelous. And so we've done that every year. I get to MC that, and it's my favorite 1 hour of the year.
Yeah.
So you're right. Like, we try to add something new and fresh and keep it evolving. The beauty is that the show isn't in the exact same market every year.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but it's also, we try to push ourselves to make new and different things, even though it's not in the same market. So, because we know our sponsors and our chapter leaders are
Right.
traveling from place to place to place, and they want to see something new and different.
Yeah.
So, it's nice to be able to have that creative license to keep pushing it.
I know. One of the other things that's cool, and it's just for, let's say, for the gun shopper. Like, I know we probably can't mention all the vendors, but you mentioned quite a few. So a lot of the big manufacturers are there with their representatives. Buying a gun and saying, oh, I want to get the Benelli this or the Beretta that or the CZ that. You can go there and talk with their staff. The same kind of thing with if you got farm property, you want to talk to a farm biologist, you can talk to the real deal people that work at CZ or Weatherby.
Yeah.
And they're there for 3 days. And, I'm sure they're tired of talking by the time it's done. But you can go and pick it up and feel the gun and swing on it. And which is it's refreshing.
Well,
it's like it's a gun shop on top of everything else.
Well, it's a credit to, there's so many people that work incredibly hard over the years to make National Pheasant Fest a signature event. And it has become really the upland version of SHOT Show.
Yeah.
Right? I think about the shooting, hunting, outdoor trade show for hunting and military. And what National Pheasant Fest and Quail Classic has become is if there's a shotgun manufacturer that wants to unveil a new over-under for the upland hunter, or a sport dog wants to roll out a e-collar, or, dog kennels, dog food. Right. Somebody wants to target the upland bird hunter.
Right.
They do it at National Pheasant Fest and Quail Classic now because you're fishing in a
stocked
pool.
Pond. You're fishing in a stocked pond. Right.
It's again, it's the Super Bowl for the uplands, and what better place to go introduce a product to people that own multiple bird dogs and really appreciate fine scatter guns and do a lot of DIY habitat work. Right. So it's a great platform for companies to reach the upland.
I'm going to go out on a limb. Other than maybe Disney, I've never seen an event that had as many strollers. Meaning, there's a lot of. It's a big family thing. There is. You're right. There's so many little kids. I'm like, all right, that's enough. The whole families are there. It's really cool.
Another thing we're super proud of, credit to our education and outreach team who put a youth village and Path to the Uplands and lots of attractions to appeal to families. Yeah. We're like most conservation groups. We're stale, male, and pale. For what's been said, right? Our memberships tend to be our roster of members are 55-year-old white guys from rural America. Yeah, and that's the reality. They're the folks that have really moved conservation forward in the last 3 decades. Yeah, but we're trying to embrace younger audience, more diverse audience, families. And you see that on the footprint on the show floor at National Pheasant Fest and Quail Classic. There's lots of young families come in, and the youth village. Whether it's painting decoys or playing laser shot, there's all sorts of things. Right. That families come here and like, my gosh, this is like going to the Mall of America for a day. Only it's things that we really care about, value, and they're learning about animals and conservation and how hunting interconnects with a healthy environment.
Right.
And it's really heartening to see that embodied on the show floor of a sports show. The other thing, that I just think I'm incredibly proud of, two elements of National Pheasant Fest and Quail Classic. So a sports show, like you boil it down, a 3-day sports show.
Sure.
Leaves a legacy on the ground in the form of better habitat. And there's two ways that happens. You're like, what are you talking about, Bob? How does a sports show actually improve habitat? Well, number one, as I touched on real early, the landowner help desk.
Mm-hmm.
So people that own property, particularly in the community where the event is held, but anywhere you own property in the country, you can sit down at Pheasant Fest one-on-one with the biologist and look at your property through satellite imagery and even sign up for programs, whether it's CRP or a state-driven program to create better habitat.
Right.
So in a general year, we talked to 1,000 landowners.
Wow.
And give recommendations on thousands of acres to improve for habitat during a 3-day show.
Yeah.
The other element is the public lands pavilion, which you talked about. So all the sponsors that are within the footprint of the public lands pavilion donate 10% of their proceeds from the show to our habitat mission. In 2020, that money went to our Build a Wildlife Area program, which we use to match grants, in this case, match grant in the state of Minnesota with legacy funds. Mm-hmm. And we were able to buy a brand new public wildlife area, the Cupido WMA. You can go hunt it.
Yeah.
That the attendees at Pheasant Fest helped push over the finish line.
Wow. Yeah.
In Omaha, if we can raise $75,000 in the public lands pavilion, we can open up 10,000 acres through their walk-in program, because we help administer their walk-in program for the state of Nebraska. Yeah. So think about that. A 3-day sports show is going to open up 10,000 acres of hunting access.
That's
when people hear that, they're like, you're full of shit. It's like, I'm not.
No,
that's
right.
That's what is so magical about this organization, and the interjection of the mission into, every event we do, we have our eyes on how can we create habitat and access or more hunters.
Yep.
And the Pheasant Fest is an embodiment to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just like got this spillover effect that just hits so many different things. And for that person who isn't sitting down at the ag desk, they can learn a little something just about the pollinators in the backyard thing. You guys sent me out a thing, and we've got a spot that I decided to quit mowing. And, there's a couple butterfly weeds there next year. And it really does have that, I don't know politics, and I sure don't know economics, but there is trickle down. Trickle down does work to, and you guys, like, you got it like a spout more. It's really, it's not trickling anymore. And we need it to be a waterfall, and that's the way to get it done.
And people are like, well, that's all fine and good, but I really just want to hunt. Well, the reality is, when you planted that pollinator habitat, you watch that grow up, and then you start thinking about, okay, this is what's going to pull in insects, and these are where the broods are going to eat. Mm-hmm. And you start going out in the landscape, and then you can identify what pollinator habitat looks like. Right. And you're like, you know what? This is where broods were born. Mm-hmm. So there's probably, especially early season, right?
Sure.
There's probably going to be some birds here. Yeah. And you can start to identify that, and that makes you a better hunter.
Yeah.
So it's trickle down. It's just making you a more well-rounded hunter and conservationist.
Yeah. And it's honestly, it's flat out, it sounds so obvious. It's flat out what we need. I mean, it's just, the not just the globe, now I should say not just the United States, but the globe.
Right.
But we really need it. I mean, there's no two ways about it. Because if we weren't gaining that 10,000 acres, we're losing that 10,000 acres. it only takes so many generations, and pretty soon, you know, we're going to be standing on concrete everywhere, and we can't have that.
And so if I'm going to make another statement that people say, well, that's a preposterous statement, but the reality is hunters are saving the world. I mean, legitimately through the creation of habitat. And I think about our organization planting grassland habitat. That habitat is creating places for wild birds, right? It's helping improve water quality because it filters out insecticides, pesticides, sediment before it goes into waterways. From the Mississippi River all to the Gulf of Mexico, habitat cleans water.
Right.
It's protecting soil health. The Dust Bowl happened for a reason. It happened because there wasn't habitat on the ground. We're protecting soil. And then, the whole climate debate. Just plant some grass.
Yeah.
The best thing to do to sequester carbon, whether or not you believe in what's causing climate change or not, plant a little damn grass.
Right.
And let's create some places to go hunting for birds to be born, and let's hedge our bets. And so in the grand scheme of things, water, soil, climate, healthy people, places to go, wildlife, it all circles back to hunters.
That's it.
So, it's really something I'm proud of.
Now, how do we get that word into How do we get that word into the mainstream populace of America? I mean,
I'm shouting as loud as I can.
Well, me too. But it's almost like, you know what we need? And I think I might have said this one other time. You remember there was a movie that came out called The Hunger Games. It was a young girl. They lived in a post-apocalyptic, world.
Yep.
And she had a bow and arrow. And she was hunting for her own food for the family. My daughter Jessie was the only one who didn't hunt. She had to have a bow and learn archery. We need somebody to make a movie.
Right.
It sends that message, even if it's subliminal. It's like every movie I see has just got a bunch of lawyers, CIA, FBI. Oh, they're great thrill. we need to get to Hollywood, Bob.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Brad Pitt and River Runs Through It did for fly fishing, right?
Exactly.
I mean, it's how do you infuse, kind of the cool factor and public consciousness interest in our mission,
right?
And integrate that into pop culture.
Yeah.
One thing that's I believe is having an impact is the locavore movement. People being more and more interested about where their food comes from, and your buddy Steven Ranella has been instrumental in getting people to think about the connection between hunting and food.
Right.
It's my hope that organizations like ours can help connect the dots one step further.
Yeah.
From habitat to hunting to food, and then that circle of life. Yeah. Because it's something Aldo Leopold talked about in the 60s when he wrote his books, right? It's this chicken, it didn't come from a styrofoam package at the grocery store.
Right.
It was a living animal that lived on land, and we've lost that connection. I mean, he wrote about this in the 60s.
Yeah.
And think about where we are today in the connection where people that never leave the concrete jungle, they have no consciousness of wildlife and wild spaces. So you're right. We need a pop culture.
We just need some pop culture person to just be like, where every young kid's like, that's the cool. I mean, I think we're getting it. We're getting it, and maybe we're getting it more the fact that we see the families like at Pheasant Fest, right? Those kids, the dad's not going, you're going to do this, this, and this. They're just exposing the kids to it.
Sure.
But we just need to expose it somehow. Like I don't know how we do it, but maybe we need someone to run for president. That's
I think
we had an avid bird hunter for president. It didn't help us that much, but there's got to be somebody out there. I don't know who it is, but we need to work on it.
Yeah, that would help.
That would. But anyway, so that event is something I look forward to. I look forward to it like a hunting trip. I really do. I mean, there's absolutely. Plus, like in our position, You're getting to connect with people that listen to you, see you. It's I can't, like I said, it's like going to, if you think about the first time you went to a Cabela's, that's what it's like. And I was on a Zoom room with a lot of my patrons last night, and I said, how many are going? And two of them said, well, where is it? And then one of them said, I never heard of it. Well, they did last night. And I told them we're going to have a little happy hour. We're going to meet up at the booth. And I mean, I'm doing, but I'm still preaching to the choir, unfortunately. You know, but the bigger the choir, the louder the voice too, you know.
Yeah, it's an amazing event. And like you said, one of the magical pieces is going there and seeing all the friends that are in this community and so many nice people. It's incredibly humbling to go to the event and, like you say, you know, have podcast listeners come up and talk to you, because, you know, you do this, right? You record these podcasts, you put it out there, and, you know, there's no audience. You have, you know, that you could see. So you're like, I don't know if anybody's listening to me. I wouldn't listen to myself.
Hello.
Right?
I know, exactly.
And when people come up and, you know, like they mention how something got them involved in bird hunting.
Yeah, sometimes it's one episode or one guest that you had on, and boom.
It's just, it's so flattering and humbling.
It is.
It's really, you know, makes you appreciate, you know, we all work hard to get to where we are in life, and a little bit of luck helps. And
well, you remember what they said in Escanaba?
Makes you appreciative.
You remember what they said in Escanaba in the moonlight, don't you? Give a man a little give a man a little luck, and anything will do for brains.
I thought you were going to say my Chevy took a shit and
my Chevy took a shit. So anybody doesn't know that movie, sorry, it's an inside joke. And Bob's from Escanaba.
I am. You're going to make me break into my Yooper dialect. Eh?
Yeah,
hold my beer.
There.
I'm going to try something, eh?
Hey, yeah. So let's dive into now. Did you turn into like the most traveling wing shooter this year award? Were you going? Because I mean, I know you got a new dog. Or was this rookie season, or is this his second season?
This is her second season. Getch is two.
Okay, but this is her first big season.
She knows what she's doing this year.
But you went all over this year. You were give me a little rundown. I mean, I was getting a little jealous.
I do get around a fair amount. You know, I've talked about you know, the little bit of extra freedom I have. My wife and I. Meredith, we've never been able to have kids, and you know, that basically, and she's tacked onto that. And this is going to be a preposterous statement. She's a huge Green Bay Packers fan, so we don't have kids, and she's got something to do every Sunday. So I have my weekends really completely free. I do radio in the Twin Cities on Saturday morning, and then like I can jet, and I do. So from September through the end of January, you can pretty much count on me being gone every weekend somewhere.
And longer. So and longer.
Or longer. Yeah. Because I use most of my vacation time during the hunting season as well. And then we do some sponsor-oriented videos, a rooster road trip. So in an average year, I've got 7 or 8 hunting licenses from different states in my pocket. Yeah. And
that didn't happen when you came out of the baseball world. I bet you didn't see that coming either, did you?
No, I didn't. I traveled a fair amount for baseball because I would go with the team here and there, but I wasn't getting to hunt or fish when I was in baseball practically at all. So this has been yeah, I'm in my 19th year at Pheasants Forever and Quail Forever. So it's been a while now. But I get to, I punched my ticket for quite a few different states. And, you know, my family, my parents and a lot of my family still live in Michigan. So I generally get to Michigan. My brother works for the U.S. Forest Service in Wisconsin. So he's got some pretty good grouse hunting maps. So I generally hunt Wisconsin.
Sure.
And then, you know, I almost always hunt South Dakota, and then you take your pick from there: Montana, North Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas. I was in Arizona this year.
Yeah, I never heard you. I don't. It's not that I follow you all the time, but I see on Instagram, Was Arizona a first for you? Because
So that's a great. So it's a second.
okay,
So about 4 or 5 years ago, guy, maybe you know, Patrick Flanagan. He owns Border to Border Outfitters.
I've heard the name. Yeah,
He guides hunters in Minnesota in October, then the prairies in November, and then he winters in Arizona and guides. So border from Minnesota to Arizona. And he donated a hunt to Pheasant Fest about 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
That a buddy of mine, Matt Kaharski, who's now the chair of the National Board of Directors at Pheasants Forever, Quail Forever, he and I bought that hunt. So we went to Arizona, flew to Arizona, and went hunting for merns, gambles, and scaled quail 4 years ago. And can remember just it was lights out. It was so much fun. It was beautiful. We were standing on this ridge, third day in Merns country, just gorgeous. And like, we're doing this again. This was epic. But the next time we do this, we're going to do it with our own dogs.
Yeah. So
fast forward.
Yeah.
And we got an invitation to the Arizona from a friend of mine who works for Arizona Game and Fish Department. And I did a podcast with Wade Zarlingo, and we became buds, and he invited me down for kind of a unique quail hunt. He's like, Bob, come on down. I got this idea. We'll go pack in our camping gear on llamas. And when he said it at first, I was thinking I was going to ride the llamas like you ride a horse, but you don't ride llamas.
No,
I didn't know that. But we packed in camping gear on the panniers of the llamas and food and water. And we packed in about 3 miles into the Merns, Coronado National Forest, Merns country. And brought our bird dogs, and we camped in tents with our dogs, and then went hunting. And the piece there that ties to the first part of the story is my buddy and I, Matt, we drove 26 hours from the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul, to Arizona with our own dogs to do this hunt, which we on the way down New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, we were just, it was horrible roads. I went through 4 different snowstorms. But we got there a little bit early, and we pulled up to a pin that an onyx pin that Wade sent us for scaled quail. So we changed our clothes, let the dogs out. You know, we've been driving for 2.5 days, and we're going to stretch our legs. And I'll be damned, my pups went on point 50 yards from the truck. And
I love that.
It was just glorious. And,
like every mile was worth it, wasn't it?
Oh, God. It was, it's 60 degrees, it's sunny, there's mountains all around us. It was utopia.
Jeez.
And my dogs go on point, and the covey gets up, and I just flock shot the shit out of it. I didn't hit anything. So
I like that. I just flock shot the shit out of it.
I missed everything. But my buddy made 2 good shots, and then from there I got other good points, and I made some shots. And then we moved from scaled quail to Merns quail. We hunted Merns quail for 2.5 days, and then hunted scaled quail one more day, and then we drove back home. So it was 26 hours in a vehicle, Ron. That's a grind.
I have never, well, I shouldn't say never, but for a hunting trip, I only did it one time for a construction job. And I had to drive from Chicago to Los Angeles, but that was in 1977. And there was nothing to look forward to because I was going to work. There was nothing to look forward to. But I've never put that many miles on to go hunting somewhere, like a trip.
So it's funny because I've done 3 different times. I've done 18-hour trips in 1-day shots. I've driven to West Texas and back, and in Montana, into the kind of the eastern range of the Rockies, of Montana. And that was okay. Like 18 days, you knock it out. It's a long day, but it's done. 26 hours, you got to break it up over 2 days. You got 2 13-hour days or more.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
It's just a bear.
It's like being forced into an uncomfortable thing and knowing the next day it's going to be just as uncomfortable.
Yeah.
How was your weather coming back? Did you skate?
The weather was a dream coming back.
That helps.
Thank goodness. It did help.
So does Wade keep a string of llamas, or did you?
So Wade actually owns 2 llamas.
Okay.
But when he pitched this, and we ended up selling a couple of sponsorships, and we're doing a video for Quail Forever, and so we had a videographer, me and Matt, and a couple other. We ended up asking for some help with another guy who has a bunch of llamas.
Okay.
So we had 5 llamas. They can carry about 70 pounds each.
Wow.
For whatever, they were all boy llamas. All the bird dogs were girls, but there was no shenanigans.
Okay. How about the dogs and the llamas? Was there any little?
They kind of, the llamas ignore everything.
Really?
As long as the dog doesn't get underneath the llama's feet,
right?
No issue.
Yeah.
So
it's not like they're always staring each other down or anything like a wolf or something, right?
No. Yeah, the only thing that we were warned to be sort of on alert for in the winter, because rattlesnakes were supposed to be hibernating. Mm-hmm. We didn't see any rattlesnakes, but our mutual friend Travis Frank did. He was down there at a similar time. But the thing that we were warned about was javelinas, which are giant rodents with tusks that can do some damage to dogs. And apparently they smell like skunks. And when I I did on one occasion during that hunt start smelling a skunk. I turned and walked the other way.
I've heard.
I don't want anything to do with a giant rodent with tusks that smells like a skunk. That just seems like a bad deal to me. Right?
I think that was an accident in nature somewhere, right? So, so we're like, well, now what are we going to do with it? I don't know. Put it in Arizona, I guess. Put it in Arizona. That sounds like an adventure. So you just slept out. You slept out in the backcountry the whole time.
Yeah. It was gorgeous. Have you ever been to Mearns Country?
No. Everybody's been asking me every year, like, Ron, you got to get there. You got to get there. And I'm so not thinking about wanting to drive that I've talked myself out of it. But then every time somebody talks, not so much about the scales or the gambles, but the Mearns is in the grasslands, right? And it's supposedly, I'm taking your word and many others, it's just like a beautiful walk on top of everything else. I mean,
it's a hard ass walk. Yeah. So next to Chuckers is probably the second hardest, but it's grasslands intermixed with living oak and some conifers. If you were to blindfold me and drop me out of an airplane in the Mearns Country, I actually, without looking at the plants, I would think I was in Montana,
right?
At the foot of the Rockies. But it's just gorgeous.
Right.
The other hunt, when you start talking about
the cactus,
really memorable.
No, I was thinking about the other stuff when all the cactus on the other parts of the hunt, that stuff.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I've stayed away from that, but go ahead.
Well, and there's very little cactus in the Mearns country, so you don't have to worry. Yeah, right. So it's just lots of things to like about Mearns Country. Very few things to fear, other than making sure you're in shape.
Yeah, and making sure you don't flock shoot. Yeah.
Right.
I had a friend of mine, Scott. He just went down to Kansas with his wife and his daughter, and they've got two wire hair. Oh, I better say drought hair. I better say it right. They're 2 drought hairs, and he's got a young pointer. And he said, now he's a good grouse shot. This guy, I would not say on the air what he tells me. He's been shooting grouse for a long time. He's good, right? He said he shot a box of shells his first day, did not hit a quail. So the same kind of thing. In your head, you just see these birds. He said, I almost threw my shotgun. It's like, come on. I can hit a rough grouse in a forest, and I can't pick out one quail on a covey rise, but he got better.
Yeah, they're so much fun.
Where else did you went out? I know you were on a Sharpie hunt one time I talked to you.
Yeah, I hunted both North Dakota and South Dakota for sharptails in September, which were good. You know, the drought throughout the summer certainly had an impact on whether there was good habitat.
Yeah.
You found birds, but there was a lot of places that were grazed down or hayed down.
Right.
You know what? As you asked about some of the memorable hunts, one of the most memorable hunts was with my buddy John Zeman, just an hour from home. I got a fat bike this year, one of those fat tired bicycles that you actually pedal. And John just like from a dog sled to skis to bike, he hooks his short hairs up to everything. And you know, I'm interested in doing that with skis, but I think I'll probably die. But so I got a fat bike, and we hooked up 2 short hairs to each of our bikes with like these parachute bungee cords. And we went to Mille Lacs Wildlife Management Area, giant wildlife area in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
And we had our short hairs pulling our fat bikes. And it felt like I was going 85 miles an hour with a shotgun in a case on my back and my vest. And Ron, I giggled for 3.5 miles. It was the greatest fun. And those dogs just pulled us back. The theory being just like the llama hunt, where we were going to go back super far and then start hunting. Right. That's just, the llama hunt was camp us back 3 miles and then start hunting birds that weren't pressured. Same thing here. You know, we're going to ride these bikes 3 miles back, stash the bikes in the woods, and then go run and hunt.
Yeah.
It worked to an extent. You know, we got a bird that day, but the ride in, you know, you're riding on these fat bikes being pulled by these 2 dogs, and it is just a gas. I can't tell you how much fun it was.
You know, I got to ask you though, are they called fat bikes or fat tire bikes?
I think they're called fat tire bikes.
Okay, because you keep
saying fat bikes, right? That be
fat bike sounds like fat bike. I got a fat bike. Well, I got a fat guy to go on a fat bike. You know, so I know what they look like. Probably, like you say, I don't want to be pulled by my dogs on skis, and I'm probably gonna have to just live vicariously through those of you who go with fat tire bikes back there. But it does sound like a hoot. But just like you said, it's got to feel like you're on a little bit of an amusement ride, right? Like you got control, you got brakes, but it's I don't know. You're getting a little crazy in your old age, Bob. You're getting a little crazy.
Well, what I haven't encountered, what happens when a deer crosses the trail, right? Yeah. Or a grouse crossing, and my dogs go on point, and I just zing, you know.
Did you happen to have
nobody was hard.
Did you happen to have a GoPro on your head or anything so you could get the woods going by?
I don't own a GoPro. I was using my phone, so this is even more how stupid I was, right? I got 2 short hairs pulling me, and I'm holding on to the handlebar with one hand and using my other hand to take a video. So I hit one bad bump, and it was going to be a yard sale. But
that's a first. I don't know if it's going to catch on, but but I'll tell you, the way my legs feel, like, you know, that wouldn't be a bad idea just to get somewhere like that. I'd be okay with that. Yeah. You know. Yeah. How was the road trip, Brewster road trip? I always tune in when you guys do that, and I watch the videos. I think it's like the perfect little mini series all the time. How was road trip compared to the other ones?
Yeah, it was really good. You know, in particular, I think back to it in the plots land. Couple of different plot size. So private land open to sportsmen in North Dakota. That's their walk-in program.
Right.
there were a couple different properties that were first year plantings. So, related back to that pollinator discussion we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
They were just weedy as hell.
Yeah.
So they had all kinds of different weedy grasses and flowers. And one place in particular, I don't know that I've ever seen that many wild birds on a public property.
Wow.
So we had like most things on the road trip, you'll have like 4 days of great and then 1 day where everything goes sideways.
Right.
Which is great for the viewer, but hard to do when you're in the, and we had 1 day where it's just absolutely miserable. It was like 33 degrees and pouring rain.
Oh, yeah, I heard that one.
You can't control the weather. I tried to learn that a long time ago when I worked in baseball, right? Like the old Bull Durham saying, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and sometimes it rains. Well,
sometimes it rains.
Right. That's same in bird hunting. Sometimes it rains, snows, sleets, hails, tornado, typhoon. Yeah, you name it.
Especially in the Dakotas, you could get anything out there.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever addressed this with you, and I really picked up on it this year listening to you on Rooster Road Trip. You apparently have this habit of just wandering off from your hunting party. I mean, if I heard it once, it didn't take much. They only had to say, well, then Bob was over there, and that meant to me, oh, that was Bob. What do you get? Like, do you get something in your sights? Because if you were hunting with me and my group, we'd be like, all right, guys, we're going to hit here. We're going to go. And apparently you just, like.
So there are a couple things here. I end every podcast with always follow the dog.
Yeah.
Right? So my overarching philosophy is I'm going to follow the dog. I also personally, given the choice, I'm a solo hunter.
Okay.
I would rather just have a day to myself and just go wander behind my dogs, whatever direction they go.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at the traditional South Dakota forced march.
Yeah.
Ron, I have a hard time coloring in those lines. It's honest to God. And, at Pheasant or Rooster Road Trip, the idea is to capture this on camera and be a part of the crew.
Right.
But I'm battling that internally because I want to follow the dogs and I don't want to be in a group. And
but you're trying to make a television show.
I know, and I'm terrible at that. So.
Yeah, I mean, when the young people are scolding you for getting out of camera lens, I'm like, I got to ask Bob about that.
That's 100%. It happens every year where they're like, Jesus, Bob, it doesn't matter if you get to that bird and it's not on camera. And it's like, I know, but I just want to be by myself.
That's funny. I had a friend like that when we hunted when we were kids. We'd kind of stick to the plan. Now, we weren't out in South Dakota. We were in Illinois. And we're like, okay, we're going to follow this creek or this river, and we're going to get to the back. But he would always take it upon himself just to be like, well, I can catch up with you guys. And he would always do this. And then we get to the end, we're like, where's Dave? Oh, there he is. Yeah. And then, because we're just mad at him because now we got to wait for him, right?
Yeah.
You're like,
and I don't generally do that. Like, I'll catch up with you because especially I think about grouse hunting, that ends up creating some safety issues, right? Because you don't know where your buddy is.
Right.
Birds get up and you start shooting. So a lot of times, if you grouse hunt with me and you like newbies, I'll put them in. I call boxing them in, or I box myself in, where it's like, okay, forest road here, a stream here, railroad tracks, where it's like, just go into this square and just wander. And that's how I like to hunt. Grouse in particular, like I don't like to walk like a pattern. I'm just gonna wander and not really care about north, south, east, or west. I'm just gonna follow the dog because I know there's a boundary and I'm not gonna get lost. I'll pop back out.
Yeah, that gave me a smile. I was like, 'cause boy, in the wrong crowd, you could probably get not invited by doing that with some people.
Doubt.
Because they're like, look, I know there's some guys up in Traverse, and they're like a SEAL team. Yeah. They get like you're there, you're in the woods, you're in the cut, you're on the road, let's go, boom, let's go, get back in the truck, go. Like, you'd be the first one, you'd be coming back to your truck going, where'd you guys go?
You're right. And there are some people that get so much joy out of the plan in a hunt, right? Like, they plan it like they were a business plan, or like you say, like just attacking a piece of cover.
They do, yeah.
I approach hunting like, this is my time off. This is my time to relax. Like,
Right.
I deal with strategic plans and business all day long. Like, just let me go wander. I just want the freedom to let my brain breathe. And
Well, they should just send a drone. They should just have a drone over you as you just wander away. But no, that's some. I'm kind of a little bit of the opposite. I was used to being in charge of my company, right? So I was always like, guys, we're doing this today. We got to get from here to there. And when I was just out in North Dakota this year, I look at where I'm going to go, and I'm like, all right, let's get back to that corner. And that's my direction. I might wander a little left to right, but I know people like yourself, they'll look to, after you get over one, you know how you get over one rise and the next rise, and all of a sudden, you see this whole little side hill full of winter berries or snowberries.
Right.
And I can literally go, nope, we'll go back there later. And you are like, no, I'm sorry.
It's a magnet,
it's like
I'm magnetized.
Right?
Yeah.
That's funny. So anyway, anything else new that we need to know about other than, the big Pheasant Fest, Quail Fest Classic coming up? Any other news, Pheasant Forever-wise?
I guess for listeners, we really need people to join as members right now.
Yeah.
COVID has kicked our membership in the ass.
Yeah.
We're 20,000 members down from where we were during pre-COVID times.
Right.
Because so many chapters haven't been able to hold banquets because of COVID restrictions. So, for listeners out there that, are pheasant hunters, quail hunters, I'll say the same if you're a duck hunter or rough grouse hunter, join a conservation organization. They really, really could use you right now.
Yeah. I think I told you this once before. Now, it's going to fall on my listeners' ears because they've heard me say it quite a bit, and not every week. But a good friend of mine, you've met him, he told me about for my birthday's end of October, like the day before Halloween, and then Christmas. So you got two kind of things when your kids are supposed to buy you a present, right? Now, my kids are grown. I don't ask for anything, but they always manage to come up and get me something. Like this sweater, my kids got it monogrammed, right, for the hunting dog. That's great, right?
That's cool.
But that was a couple years ago. So Rusty said, why don't you have your kids buy themselves a membership to RGS or PF in their name, their membership, but that's their gift to you. If they're going to spend $30 on a tie or some smart wool socks or whatever, have them become a member. So my three girls and my wife, for my birthday, they gave me a little, Kelsey made it up. It showed them that they all joined RGS. And then for Christmas, they joined QF and PF. So instead of like getting socks that are going to get thrown out, and, some things you like when you get them for Christmas, but let's be honest, everything we get pretty much does go away someday. So, I mean, I think that's something you guys could say on your podcast. Look, if you're struggling to find someone, if you're the guy who's, when your wife or your daughter or your husband asked you, what do you want for your birthday? Just say, you know what, don't get me anything. Get yourself a subscription to be a member of a habitat organization.
Yeah.
And then the beauty part of it is now I go to their houses and there's a magazine I can read on the coffee table. So,
right.
Or at least I can thumb through it. And it worked. I mean, the kids did it, and I was like, that's perfect. I don't need to open up a gift. I just hold this little card. I'm like, oh, good, you all joined. So, I mean, I think that's a way that if people would get that in their head, that's a great way. It may not be a member. Like, I don't think my three daughters are going to start going to banquets. But if I can keep them, if that's my annual Christmas present to me, membership's membership, Yeah. And so that I strongly suggest people to do that. Nope.
Yeah, and if they don't go to banquets, maybe they'll get that's part of the pop culture infusion that we're looking for. Getting this message that these organizations, our habitat mission is helping clean water and protect climate, and who knows where some of those publications are going to end up.
It's another trickle. It's another little trickle.
100%.
A leaky faucet will fill a whole sink one day if you don't watch it. We'd be fine with that. We'd be fine with that.
And we really, honestly, we had a great year last year. We're super healthy financially, but our membership, what makes us relevant, is way down.
Right.
So we really need people to get engaged.
Yeah. Yep. All right, Bob, I know you got some stuff to do. I told you I'd keep it around an hour. I think we had some good laughs. I'm going to see you in, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 6 weeks or so, 6, 7 weeks. I'll see you out there in Omaha.
Outstanding.
And the first thing, like I said, the bird dog, if there's anything else worth going for, it's the bird dog parade that kicks off the, and I might show up there with a new breed of dog.
Oh, really?
There's
a tease.
I got a wire-haired Vizsla.
Nice.
Yeah, and he's about 7 months old, and the only thing is I don't know. I've got to see if I've got a little extra support help, which I think some friends are coming from the area, who can kind of take the dog in and out and get him back out to the kennel. And because with the booth that I'll have, I don't want the dog out there all day long. He'll just get, he'll get bored to death or crap on the floor or something. I don't need any fodder. But anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing you, Bob, and everybody else from PF here pretty soon.
Cool. Thank you. Pheasantfest.org. People can learn more, pick up tickets. Right now we got buy one, get one tickets available. So, and Ron, thank you so much for having me on and talking about Pheasant Fest, and looking forward to seeing you in person.
Well, and it was a sneaky way of getting to find out the story about how you wander away from your hunting group. So, there. All right, Bob.
You got me.
I got you. All right, we'll see you out there.
All right, thanks, Ron.
Yep, bye-bye.